If watching training videos automatically made you good at poker, then everyone with a YouTube account would be Phil Galfond by now. Knowledge without execution is basically mental masturbation. Fun in theory, but useless in practice. This, I believe, is especially relevant for poker players. I work with a lot of poker pros, and I see two regular problems. Some don't study enough, and others study all the time but barely improve. Think back to the Doyle Brunson days. Guys in smoky back rooms, smoking cigars, cowboy hats, guns under the table. And now fast forward to the modern era of poker, which has become, well, nerdy. It's lots of solver work and deep study. But here's the thing, poker still attracts a very certain kind of person. People that tend to be a little bit more out of the system, often didn't enjoy school, would rather be trading cards than doing homework. The guys that had a VPN and Tor installed because it was interesting. And let's be real, those guys generally aren't the most effective at studying because effective study is usually learnt at university. And if you're a poker professional, there's a decent chance you either smoked your way through university and can't remember any of it, or, like me, you didn't go in the first place. Clearly, I'm generalizing a lot here. However, if this resonates, this is the 5-step study plan that I suggest to my clients. This plan takes the knowledge from solver work and deep study onto the tables where it actually matters. Step 1, acquisition. So this is the part where we are taking in new knowledge. Some good examples of that could be getting coaching, either one-on-one or group coaching, being in a study group with other players that are playing somewhat similar stakes to you, buying a poker course and acquiring new knowledge that way. There's a bunch of different training sites out there now, and depending on where you are in your career, you probably want to be doing a little bit of all of these different things. Step 2, drilling. So here we want to be taking the knowledge from step 1, acquisition, and putting it into practice in an environment which doesn't cost us any money when we make mistakes. So we want to be building reps by looking at sims, thinking critically about what we would do in game, not just trying to replicate whatever the solver is doing, and then getting those reps in by drilling hands. This can be a great way to warm up for your session. Maybe you could take a node that you've been studying and then play 100, 200 hands against the solver in preparation for sitting down to begin your session. And that leads us smoothly to step 3, intention. So we want to really be actively thinking about the things that we've been trying to improve at when we're in game, because this is the bridge between the knowledge and the execution, is actually bringing the things that we're learning onto the tables. So a protocol which I suggest to all of my clients to do is before every session, they sit down and they write 3 intentions for the session. 1 pre-flop, 1 post-flop, and 1 mindset. These are 3 things that you're really trying to focus on whilst you're playing your session. I always suggest that you make them fairly specific, because if it's too broad, it happens too frequently, and then it's hard to focus on. So an example of that would be free betting ranges from the button, or maybe you could make that a little bit more broad, so free betting ranges from late position. This is a bit more specific and a bit easier to focus on rather than just free betting ranges from all positions, which happens perhaps too frequently to focus on. Then after our session, we want to be coming back and reviewing the intentions that we set at the beginning of the session. I'll come back to that in a moment. Step 4, execution. So now we're in game, we've set our intention, and we have this part of the game tree that we're wanting to focus and improve at. So as we're playing the session, really look out for these hands, and this is a really good opportunity to tag hands which come up from this node so that you can go back and look at them later. What you might find, because you're giving this part of the game tree so much attention, is that you start going a bit overboard and start playing a lot of hands in this node. So yes, within the context of this one individual session, you might end up in some slightly questionable spots, but in the bigger picture of your overall learning arc and the context of your career, I think it's okay to maybe play the occasional hand a little bit off whilst you're learning how to master this part of the game tree. Finally, step 5, review. Okay, so we've acquired the knowledge, we've practiced it, We've set our intention, we've executed it. Now we need to close the loop by going back and reviewing the hands from this node and seeing how we did. And naturally, we're going to make some mistakes. And here is the opportunity to go back and study these spots, either by posting them in a study group, showing them to a coach, looking at them in a solver, and seeing what you can learn from the experience. And now you're really seeing the full loop of this learning experience, taking knowledge from its initial acquisition into execution, and then we're reviewing it and refining it to get it as good as we can. And in some scenarios, we may need to do this for several sessions, even several weeks or several months, until we've refined this part of the game tree, until we're ready to move on to a new spot, and the cycle repeats. So let's summarize this. First, acquisition, acquiring new knowledge. Second, drilling those hands and getting reps in. Third, intention, so setting a clear intention for your session. 4, execution, actually bringing it onto the tables. And then 5, review, going back and reviewing the hands that you've played in this node. This structure creates a very tight feedback loop, and if you're consistent with this practice, you will get better. Might feel a little bit awkward at first, give it some time, it will start to feel natural quickly. Okay, that's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe for more deep dive poker mindset content here. And I also do regular bits on Instagram at coach_Rupert. To winning more and having more fun.